Welcome to the Sacred Feminine Connection podcast, founded by me, Anne Reynolds, with a twofold mission, which is to reweave the red thread of sisterhood among women around the world and restore the sacred connection between the feminine and masculine that thrived in ancient times but was lost and forgotten. At this time, this podcast airs every second Monday of the month. I am so pleased to start 2026 with today's conversation entitled The Womb, Your Creative Core. Our guest speaker today is Diana Beaulieu, who studied biology and human sciences at Oxford University and has 20 years of professional experience in anthropology, writing, shamanism, and energy medicine. She is the founder of the Inner Womb Method, an innovative modality for women who wish to step into their embodied feminine power through healing the womb. She trains medical doctors, psychologists, coaches, body workers, trauma therapists, and energy healers in over 40 countries worldwide to become sacred womb awakening practitioners. Acting as healer, coach, teacher, and author, Diana's unique work is a blend of embodied somatic healing, intuitive shamanic work, and quantum transformation. She has written extensively on the subject of the energetic and spiritual power of the womb as it relates to feminine healing and is considered a leading global authority in the field of womb healing. Welcome, Diana. Thank you so much for being here today. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here for me. Thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast, Anne.
You are so welcome, Diana. So, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. And I'm really, really excited to learn more about your story and also about how the womb is our creative core. And I'm just so grateful that you accepted my invitation to be a podcast guest here. And you are my first guest that I am meeting online for the first time, but I have known about you for a long time and I have actually experienced like your work. So in the course of this conversation, I really look forward to just having the listeners know more about the experience and to know more about you, who is the core behind the whole womb experience. And so I really look forward to where our conversation will take us today.
Thank you. Me too, Anne.
Thank you. So, first of all, let's start with how did the sacred feminine call out to you for the first time in your life?
Well, that's a really great question, and I think the sacred feminine called out to me before I had any idea what that meant. And actually, I was quite young in my 20s, and a friend of mine suggested I go and see a medium. And this medium, when I came to the door, she bowed, and I was a bit taken aback. And she said, "My guides are telling me to bow to you to so that you can recognize that you are a representation or embodiment of the divine feminine on earth." So, so that was quite a strange beginning to even understanding that there might be such a thing. And at that point, it meant, I mean, it just kind of washed right over my head. I found the whole thing very strange. And then as time went on, I started to get called into what I call the embodied sacred feminine, which is my womb. And that journey was very different. It wasn't a sort of etheric kind of message, it was much more of an embodied and challenging journey. And that was the journey that took me into discovering that my womb has a consciousness and that she is a center of beautiful intuition, creativity, but also memory and pain and joy and many aspects of life. And that journey came by remembering childhood abuse. So I had no idea what had happened to me till I was 40. And I'd been all on this really long healing journey. And I'd been trying and then learning and practicing all sorts of different modalities, including somatic body work and shamanic healing work and psychotherapy and counseling. And I just couldn't get to the core of why I felt so wrong as a woman, why I didn't feel good in my body, why I couldn't attract relationships, why I didn't enjoy my sexuality. And I'd spent about 15 years on this journey, never really getting any closer to these core problems. When these memories arose and I started to realize, now I understand what's been happening. I've been sitting on layers of trauma that have been preventing me from really feeling and embodying my feminine, creative, and sexual self. And so as I went on the journey of uncovering all this trauma, that's really how womb awakening and womb healing, as I teach it, was born. It was really my own healing experience, which I then went on to share with others. And that's what I would say was really the deeper call from the sacred feminine. It was really the sacred feminine calling out from the depths of my body saying, I'm wounded and you you've come into this life in order to experience that wounding, but also to transcend it and to come through it. And so my life is really dedicated then to helping women to uncover whatever trauma or blocks they might have in this deep center within, so that they can then not just experience the sacred feminine as something beautiful and ethereal, but actually something that they're living through the space of their bodies every day.
That's so beautifully said, and I really appreciate you for sharing that deep experience, especially with the womb and how it like really relates, to everything about us, like as women, and also as men. I do know that as well. One thing that was calling out to me is you know, the qualities that come out of the womb. It's something that like the way that you describe it is it's so varied and uh, full and variegated. So out of all those, like all those qualities that make it how like quantum and expansive it is, would there be like a particular one that like you really connect with?
Well, that's I think why I kind of wanted to speak about the creative aspects of the womb, because for me it's the sort of deep creative flow that comes from the womb, which I find most exciting. So as I spent kind of all these years doing a lot of different trauma releases and going through different layers of what was happening to my womb, not only in terms of physical sexual trauma, but multidimensional energetic traumas as well. What I began to realize was that the more I released that trauma, the more I felt alive, and the more I was able to go deeper into a layer of my womb that was almost like a kind of untrammeled flow of creative power. And that can sound a bit abstract. So I want to kind of break that down a little bit. We know that the womb creates because some of us women, have an opportunity to give birth to children. So we know that there is that physical and genetic aspect of creation that comes through the womb. However, there's this other aspect of our own creation, which is in a way the sort of deep connection that we have to why we've come here and who we are and what we've come to do. And I believe that that is encoded in the womb. And so the more I delved into my womb, the more I realized that my womb was becoming my spirit guide. And my womb was the one who was whispering to me from the depths, not from above, but from the depths of who I am, and starting to guide my life. And not only guiding my life from a really deep sense of memory and knowing of who I am, not just in this life, but through all my lifetimes, but also allowing me to access literally content, the kind of words that I wanted to speak, the kind of messages that I wanted to bring through were also starting to flow through my womb. And this was really magical for me. It meant to me that creative writing or teaching or bringing together curriculum didn't have to come from some sort of effort. It could really just flow from inside me. And this is the part of womb work and womb connection that I find most exciting because it's generative and it speaks to the fact that after trauma and after healing, there's creation. And that's the beautiful part of my life that I'm experiencing more and more. There's still, of course, trauma that comes up that I have to deal with, but also there's this feeling that, wow, I can now tap into these depths of who I am, and I can really bring forth effortlessly and in a very pure way this creative force that's within me, that's exactly what I'm meant to bring through, that's really aligned with my soul and my being, and really comes from a sense of what's for the highest good for those around me as well. So it's a very beautiful, exciting thing to be connected to.
That's really wonderful to hear from you and to just really like attuned to the sacred purpose that the womb is like, that your womb was gifting through the world through you. And I could really feel that coming from you, not only like from like just hearing you speak, but also through the experiences that you have created for other women facilitators to bring forward for other women to experience. I know that there's very many women in the world, and there's only like so much that that we can contain ourselves. So it becomes really important for other women to carry on and teach what came through for you, so that other women could really experience like the creative power of the womb and to really come back home to who they are. So I just really appreciate everything that you're sharing. And one thing that comes to me is that, I felt the same about, that experience that you shared, like, when you were young, about there's like the bowing to you, because I can feel it as well. And so that woman was right. Because there is something in me that feels the same. Like there's this like reverence for the sacredness of everything that you're saying, and for the wisdom that is coming through this talk today that you're sharing. So just really wanted to thank you for sharing all of this, and for actually like taking having the courage and the will to bring this sacred work into the world. I would say the reason why I say that is that because as a practitioner as well, I'm a relationship coach for women, and you also spoke about trauma. There is there is something that's holding me back. So I wanted to ask you if the experience to share about what you experienced through the creativity and the multidimensional power of the womb. Did you feel like just like excited and like just shared it like with wholeheartedness, or was there anything that uh, held you back in one way or another? I was just curious to know, because that's currently what I'm dealing with.
Oh, yeah. I've been very lucky all my life. I've always had this ability to just sort of say things and share things and not worry too much about it. And and so what happened for me was that I began sharing womb work really just at the beginning of my trauma healing journey. So I would sit in circle with women, and sharing the work was like discovering the work. And it still feels like that today, where I don't really see myself as a teacher. I see myself as someone who can hold space for healing and transformation to flow through. And I just get out of the way and then see what happens. And that's really how this whole womb work came about and evolved. And yes, now it's a modality with a name that I had to invent for it, because you have to give something to it so it looks like something in the world. But in the end, it was really just consciousness and deep memory coming up for me that I was really happy to share with others. And since about 2018, I've then been training practitioners as well. And that's been a really rewarding experience. And that's something I'm doing now. That's the main focus of my work. And it just fills me with joy when I hear women saying that they've shared the work with other women, particularly when they live in places like Egypt or Africa or India, where this work is so needed and where there's so little of it. That just fills me with excitement. So no, I don't really have a block about that. I've got plenty of other blocks about other things, but not in that particular department.
Wow, that is such a blessing, and so that's really great. I'm really happy for you. I'm really glad that you you are doing the work that you do.
Mm.
And so I wanted to ask you could you share with us what is the experience of the sacred feminine that made the most impact in your life and motivated you towards all the work that you do with women today in healing and also as like teaching other women and to facilitate the same circles and that kind of work.
I think for me it was a little bit similar to what I said before, but I'm going to frame it a bit differently, where having done a lot of trauma work, when I really dived into what I call like the shamanic depths of the womb, I really realized that myself, but every woman within her womb space has an incredible, pure, connected, deep aspect of herself that is so profound and so wise. And when she can access that, this aspect of her own divine feminine, then life starts to be directed from this pure wellspring of awareness within. And we can get through all the blocks that get created by our minds and by our fears and by our confusion about who we're meant to be and what we're meant to do. And there's just this clarity that comes through. And for me, that's just this most exciting aspect of the divine feminine that I connect with through the womb work. And as my teachings have evolved, I've taken my students on deeper journeys, and now I'm teaching them to connect to what I call the inner wise woman within their own womb space, which is them. And the realization that the divine feminine, the sacred feminine, isn't a goddess or an ethereal concept. We can all tap into this aspect of ourselves, and that has been so suppressed for such a long time. And our religions have encouraged us to look up and out. And when we go in and down, we can find the truth we've really been seeking because it's ours, it's personal to us, but it's also universal. But it's the truth that's personal to us, to our lives, because it's a part of ourselves who knows where we are and who we are and what we're here to do. And that I find so beautiful. Just this deep inner knowing. I guess I find that an exciting aspect of the divine feminine, the deep inner knowing.
Beautiful. And I um, related to that, like what you just said, I really resonate with that because that's like the same experience that I've had about the sacred feminine, that it's not really like a goddess, or it's like not going upward to something ethereal, but it's like going down and just really connecting into who you are. And it's so amazing how the divine is like created like the body, and how the womb, that is the central space, it's down. So then, in order to connect, you go down like literally, and not go up. Like there's nothing, that it has nothing to do with the head, but it has everything to do with of the downwardness of it. So that's just like a really beautiful like realization that you shared, that I also resonate with. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I was just wondering about your shamanic work because could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, the shamanic aspect of what I do is in essence informed by core shamanism. So that's something that's very popular in the West, where we've been very lucky to be able to learn from different indigenous traditions around the world, but we have taken something very simple, which is the shamanic drum. There's mine, just next to me, and learned that we can travel into the shamanic realms using drumming as a primary mode of shifting our consciousness and being able to connect with wisdom, guides, healing experiences in the shamanic realms. And what I find beautiful about that is that it's a very pure connection to inner wisdom. And then the most exciting part for me about shamanic work is that I discovered that the same shamanic principles, the same principles of journeying with the drum, you could go into the depths of your womb and find the same kind of wisdom. So instead of journeying into the shamanic realms, where you might meet ancestors or human guides or animal spirits or speak to the plant people or speak to the stone people, you can go right into the depths of your womb and speak to the inner essence of yourself and find very similar levels of wisdom and even healing frequencies right within your womb where you can heal. So that is part of the more advanced teaching work that I do, but it's for me really exciting. And in a way, for me, all of the trauma healing is the pathway to be able to then be able to do that, to have that shamanic connection, which is so essential, really, because when we're dealing with reality, we have the physical aspect of reality, which we can deal with our five senses, and the shamanic aspect of reality, when we can really move into that and work with it, then we're actually starting to see the whole of our reality. And that gives us great depth and wisdom and tools for our lives.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so beautiful. And the part that I really connected with is the going into the womb and to connect with the inner essence of you. That's exactly that just resonates so much. Like when you said that, my womb did a dance. So that's so beautiful. Could you share with us the um, when you felt ready to share the womb work and train other women in order to also bring that womb work
Mm.
into the world to other women? Could you share a little bit more about that? Like when was the turning point, or when did it come up that you felt that readiness and that was part of the work that you were here to do and to share and give to the women of the world?
So, as I said, the womb work evolved quite organically. It was more of an unfolding and a sharing and a download and a remembering. So, the first few years that I was teaching womb work, it was very experimental in a way, in the sense that I would run a 3-day workshop and I would have no idea what was going to happen. And I'd tell people that from the start, say, "Welcome everyone, I have no idea what's going to happen." And they'd actually feel quite excited about that. So would I. And then through about 3 or 4 years of running quite regular workshops and working with private clients, I started realizing, okay, there's a kind of form to this. A form has now come together. And when I felt that that form was clear, I felt ready to then go into a deeper level of teaching, which is how do you teach this work? And that meant that I needed to unpack what I was doing. So I was quite naturally and effortlessly sharing this work with other people without any previous training on what it's like to be a teacher or what it's like to be a facilitator. But somehow it was working, and how I was working with people was really resonating. And so what I did was I put together the curriculum of a practitioner training. And then on day one, I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I just set the intention that the the way that I teach, and not only the content of what is being taught, but then how is it that you hold space for others, and how is it that you're a great facilitator, and how is it that you can really foster change within others, and how is it that you can take responsibility for yourself? How is it that you can help your clients to feel that they have power and responsibility for their own change, and all of these different things that were sort of happening organically. I just made an intention that that would all come through, and so then it did. And so the first year of practitioner training in 2018 was very intense because I was literally starting from scratch. I had a womb course written, but the actual practitioner course behind it was a whole other thing, and it ended up being 500 pages of written documents, which is now the backbone of the training course, the practitioner training course. And it's expanded since then. So it was really this yeah, beautiful moment of feeling like I'm just ready to go to the next depth. And I attracted a circle of 10 amazing women. We spent time in person back in the days when people did that before COVID. And we then spent another year doing the training, and it was an incredible unfolding. And I wasn't ready because I had it all prepared. I was ready because I knew I was ready, if that makes sense. And it worked.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for describing that. It just shows how the feminine unfolds when it's ready, and just like how you were saying. And so that's really wonderful how you mentioned that you don't know what's going to happen, and that's very feminine as well. And so, since we're already talking about like these qualities that I am identifying here and there in what you're saying, could you share with us the one feminine quality that you connect with the most and why?
Mm. I think it's just the ability to be uncertain. To not have a full knowing of what to do or how to do it. To just be dancing with uncertainty and to be comfortable with it. And just
That's
to feel that the path will come through somehow.
Yes, and you really illustrated that, and I mean, it's with your with the this conversation. That's really how it's unfolding, and just I would say that that's a really like it's a simple, but yet it's like a spot on description of your whole experience, your whole life experience, and your whole experience with the creative power of the womb. That's just how it unfolded. Thank you so much for that beautiful description. And I know a lot of women would actually resonate with that, because I know that a lot of women do feel uncertainty, and they aren't sure in one way or another how to deal with it. So, could you tell us a little bit more about the gift that you have available for all our listeners, so that they could get a deeper feel of your work?
Hmm. So what I'm offering is a beautiful 3-week course. And it's a course that you can do over 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years if you want to. And it's giving you the first steps into womb connection, really starting to understand what is my womb as an energy center, how can I heal my womb, and how can I listen to my womb. So those are really the basic 3 things that you're going to get from this course. And of course, once you're on my mailing list, you're going to be invited to group events. You'll get inspirational writings from me, and you'll be part of the community, part of a community that spans thousands of women in 40 countries around the world. And you can come and share also how you're doing with that course and have an opportunity to join other programs as well.
And the link is in the notes. And I do know that you just started a collaboration with a school. So could you tell us also a little bit more about that? Because I am on your mailing list as well, and I heard about this new collaboration. So I would we please share more so our listeners can have also that information.
Sure. So I've been invited to teach with the Shift Network, and that's a very exciting opportunity for me. And I will be teaching a course about how we can heal our womb so that we can tap into our intuition and creativity at any age. So, very much emphasizing on the fact that the womb is not just a physical organ, she's a multidimensional energy center. And whether or not you're premenopausal, postmenopausal, perimenopausal, or even if you've had an illness or condition in your womb's been removed, you can actually tap into the power of your womb, heal trauma, and really find those beautiful intuitive and creative gifts that I've been talking about today. So that's what I'll be teaching from the end of February onwards at the Shift Network.
So then we will put it in the notes if you are able to get the link. So if it's available, it will be in the notes. And so, but then you can also connect with Diana through the other link that's there, and so that you can find more about the wonderful womb work that she is sharing with all the women of the world. And Diana, I was just curious because, you spoke earlier about, like the traumas that, you um, forgot of, like, and just it like the memory came back like 40 years later, and that's kind of how you started your womb journey. Um, did the teachers that you work with, or did you work with teachers that just showed up, like, like in just like showed up because they were the right teachers to work with, or how did you go about, the womb work? Was it something that just came to you intuitively, or were there other women who supported you in your healing process?
Actually, the womb work as I teach it really came from my own process and my own intuition. And I had wonderful help with different healers and coaches and therapists as I went through my own trauma healing journey. But this was very much my own work. Now, that's not to say there aren't other amazing womb healing teachers out there, because there are. But in this particular case, I didn't learn through a lineage or through anything like that. It really was my experience, and it felt more to me that I was remembering something ancient. And many of the women I teach feel the same when they connect with this work. They say, "Wow, I really feel like I already know this. I already know this, actually." And I say, "Yes, I'm not surprised, because you do." So it felt more an inner recognition of truth than something that was passed from somebody else. However, there are other amazing womb teachers out there, and there's a wonderful book called Womb Awakening by Azra and Seren Bertrand that I can really recommend for anyone who wants to have an in-depth spiritual journey through their womb. That's a really amazing start.
This is really beautiful for you to share, because then it just shows me that, the codes of the womb wisdom is in you, and it just like came out organically and naturally. So then you were continuing, that work. And what a blessing to have you in the world, and for you to, through, I mean, the all your experiences and everything that just fell into place for you, that we are able to access this information and bring it back to life, because it's so needed in the world today. So thank you for all that you do, and my sincerest thanks and gratitude to your womb for
Mm,
bringing forth the wisdom, and
mm,
it's helped so many women in the world, including myself. And that is how I came across you, because when I had the experience with a different facilitator, I'm like, oh, I know who is behind this. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like I would love to meet you, and to have a conversation with you more about the womb. And here I am, living it today. So thank you so much, Diana. This was so beautiful.
thank you, and it's been really wonderful to speak with you today. And thank you for your beautiful questions and shares.
So, in closing, what message do you have for women who are listening to this podcast today?
I think my message would be, you have so much more within you than you realize. And even if it's difficult to get to the deeper layers of your wisdom, your beauty, your intuition, and creativity, don't be afraid. Take the dive, take the healing journey that you need in order to connect with your deeper self.
Thank you for that beautiful message. And what message would you have for the men who are listening to this podcast today?
I would say, men, you also have a beautiful womb within you. You have a creative space within you, an intuitive space within you, and explore it. Explore who you are in the depths of this deep, deep space within you. And also, don't be afraid to shine your masculine light. We need you.
Beautifully said, yes, and that is so true. So, for the men who are listening to this conversation right now, there is more to the womb than you realize. And so that creative power is accessible as well to you. So if that's something that you're curious about and you'd like to know more, then there are other episodes in this podcast that speak more about it. And perhaps Diana also would have further information that you could contact her more about it and to go deeper. Thank you so much for joining us today in this sacred space. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If what you heard today awakens something within your womb, please share this podcast with someone who really needs to hear this truth and subscribe today for more groundbreaking interviews. Together, let's awaken our wombs and reclaim its creative power. Remember who we really are and heal the world.